Okay. Hello. Bu- I got get to it. That's good. I'm gonna try doing some taxes. Not my income taxes, but the ones I need to send out. Cool. And hold on. Sorry about that. I'm actually answering somebody in IRC, and actually, I'm gonna make sure that I'm on the chat. Uh, so if anybody's chatting in the chat, I'll try to respond as quick as possible. Yep. That's all I responded to Tim Bodette and let it's pronounced Let Dare, but I don't always say Ludum Dare on Afternet. So shout out to Tim Bodette in Ludum Dare, Let Dare, whatever. Um, okay, so let me think here. Okay, let me switch to. I'll go ahead and switch to this. Oh, games from scratch. All right. Okay, so um, I need to play like a last couple of minutes of the yesterday's stream. Do this in a oh, this is kind of annoying to me. I don't know if it's I don't remember having this kind of a problem with in Windows. It might be just because of the auto hide though, but like um it's hard to get this off of here. I think I turned off the thumbnail preview thing though, kind of on purpose so they wouldn't show up on stream. But it's kind of annoying to be able to switch in between stuff. So, and here, what am I gonna do here? Oh, you know what? That's not showing up here. Yeah, I don't know why that got minimized there, but anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just yeah. When I'm looking off to the side, whatever side it is, it looks like I'm looking off to the side. When I'm looking off to the left, when I'm actually looking off to my right, it's actually my right. I mean, you can tell that when you look at it, but it's always to the opposite side. Anywho, okay, so the reason that I need to look at yesterday's stream is this is what's on my YouTube right now. You think I have a lot more like Blender or game stuff like Redot, Godot, or whatever, but I tend to have lots all kinds of junk because I'm sucked in, especially these stupid shorts. I'm sucked in with all kinds of dumb stuff. But at least it still has to do with mostly to do with my stuff. Anyways, right. So what I want to do is I want to go to your videos and go to live, and I want to go to 34, and I want to do this. Honestly, I don't need this anymore. And let's turn this audio on. Let's go back. Let's go towards the end here. Not preachy, just entertaining. And of course, it's let's see. But Zanzibar Okay, let's bump me up a little bit here. I just think it's not exactly. In other words, I'm not just gonna abandon something just because I think of something cool. But and I should have the desktop audio on, so you should be able to see it at the end. Hear it when I'm completely done. It's a fully interactive animated adventure game, and then I take each of the characters and I write them into live action movies. But each character having their own movie that's happened in the game. If I and that's just the way my mind works. I apologize. I'm gonna have to. I'm going right. I know process of trying to refashion his story so he will. I mean, I could always go to. Okay. Okay, these are different ideas, right? His role in the plan catches the attention of Max. Interesting. Possible return, yeah. Maybe even try to join forces with our heroes down the road. Yeah, I doubt it, but you never know. You never know, right? Okay. Okay, so the problem I'm having is giving a subplot, although not strictly necessary because he's almost a side character. Like, I probably don't even actually need him for the story engine. Right. Okay. So I'm still trying to think of a subplot format, and I thought I had it locked down, but I don't remember what I'd come up with. Plot the big cons is the main goal. He has a unless I make him super important in the beginning. Well, I can still make him super important in the beginning, but that doesn't mean he still has a subplot. Maybe part of his act is exposing them, but showing his tricks are legitimate because he's that much better. You know. So maybe if everybody knows their tricks, but not his own tricks. Yeah, so because basically on Tuesday I didn't really get a lot done. I mean, I solidified a few ideas, but I didn't come up with any new solid ideas. Subplots are usually like personal goals. Sometimes they support the main story. Sometimes they don't. But I'm just trying to think of some extra personal goal that will give it a little bit of depth. All these subplots are probably not even necessary, even especially in the game or whatever. But I kind of wanted to include them because I wanted to give them a little bit more depth. I don't mean like this whole like emotional depth kind of hoity-toity kind of thing. Like if I was writing a movie and I wanted to make it a little bit less popcorny and more in depth, but still provide a little bit of depth because you can provide a little bit more depth to the game than you can with a straight linear movie, and maybe not as much so as like a novel or something, but yeah. So I was hoping that I could come up with a solid what's a solid subplot for Zanzibar? Because he exposes uh he exposes the magicians. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's to pump up his own self worth, um, and too many pop ups up here. Um, so like if everybody's exposed and they all know the tricks, they won't know his, and his will seem more magical or better or something. At least the idea is that in our realm, that's why he was exposing magicians, exposing their secrets. And so he gets driven into Enchanted Lands, and then he finds out that he's in Enchanted Lands, and that he could probably con people out of stuff here too. In fact, maybe what was that? I heard a. Oh. Now let me check the stupid Discord. Look, the stuff keeps popping up on Discord here. Uh, just a quick second. That. That. You got me. Cantaloupe has his own. Uh, I think he's from the Blender channel on Liberia.chat, but Cantaloupe has um his own channel, and I post a link to my streams in there. But I was talking to him, and he replied yes to a question that I asked, and then ding, I said you got me. Anywho, okay, so back to where I'm getting to. Okay, so he comes into this new land and he figures, well, he can probably con a bunch of people here out of money. He finds out that they're actually using like gold coins or whatever. Quicksilver doesn't use his money, obviously, but the idea is that Enchanted Lands does still deal with money, run on money. And so I'm guessing it would be like gold or something. Of course, being magic, they could probably conjure gold up, but we'll just go with the idea that they dig gold out of the ground like the rest of us do. And um, so so Zanzibar thinks he can make a bunch of money, and he does, and he's actually successful. And he wants to do this big con and maybe retire, and who knows, maybe even retire to some other realm where they don't even have any clue about who he is, and he can kind of like live in peace or whatever. Um, so there's that. Now, I could technically say that his big show that he wants to do, because he wants to retire, that could actually be technically the subplot. But then what would his main plot be? What's his and usually the main plot is in in um in service to the story. Um, and that might have to do with Max. That might have to do with maybe he wants to become a big man in Max's administration, you might say, uh, or something. Maybe he could be in charge of taxes. Aside from the conquering of the different realms, you'd assume that Max would probably be for high taxes, and considering that Enchanted Lands was created as a tourist resort to, so they wouldn't have to tax its people. Maybe Max, uh, maybe Max starts the taxes back up. That's a thought. Hmm. Well, okay. So main goal and main plot and subplot for characters um, doesn't necessarily have to be for the main story. I mean, it can be. So I can think of it like, um, let's see. We could make this up. We could make the his main plot. His main plot is his big con, his big show that he wants to pull off. And maybe then his sub goal would be to somehow work for Max. Maybe to take control of taxes, because then he thinks he can probably skim off the top with the taxes. I never thought about that, because that's actually the taxes thing is sort of an element in the game, even though it's unspoken, even though it's part of the past, because they're a regular kingdom, magic kingdom, of course. Um, but in order to stop having to get rid of taxing the people, to get rid of the income tax, hint hint, uh, Hubert gives the king the idea that to turn it into a tourist resort and that they can make a ton of money. And they do, and to great success. So when Max comes in, he shuts everything down. So what's he going to do? He's probably going to raise taxes. And maybe that's where Zanzibar comes in. Maybe in our world, part of his problem, part of his deal was tax fraud. Maybe he dabbled in a little tax fraud here in our realm, and so when he's over there, um, he suggests, yeah, and I could make it. I could make him the driver instead of Max because at one point, so the story goes is he tries to scam Max, and Max is mad at first, and then he likes his kind of his his hood spot or whatever you want to call it, his guts or his what are you gonna call it, his his uh his boldness. He likes the fact that he was brave enough or bold enough to actually try to scam Max. Um, but then he could find out later that he didn't know who Max was, and being just in the land. But considering a couple of things, um, I guess Zanzibar was a character that wasn't there in the beginning, so he kind of doesn't know everything. So he comes in. He comes in at an earlier time, though. Actually, he could still come in fairly early. He doesn't have to come in like later. I could introduce him. I could even introduce him into Act One because one of the things. Um, well, okay, so the whole his whole inciting incident, his whole impetus here is impetus, whatever you want to call it. Um, it was the fact that he was trying to run away from the magicians in our realm, and he goes into this convention of wizards that he thinks is just a normal convention, and they're just nice elderly gentlemen, perhaps dressed a little funny, but he doesn't mind very much because he's very much theatrical. He's a magician, and he has his own persona, and so he kind of fits right in with these guys, and so he runs in there, and he escapes uh, these magicians, and and Cantaloupe says, "I'm literally from the Blender channel. It's my parent." Okay, I got you, Cantaloupe. Um, okay, so anyways, I could get too distracted with the stupid chats. I almost shouldn't have them up, but I'll have them up because I want to just I mean, part of this is just interacting with people anyway. So if they're watching it or listening, then that's great, and I'll interact with you guys. Um, but okay, so his inciting incident, his deal is running into Enchanted Lands accidentally, while trying to escape these magicians. Um, and so the idea would be that he would come in later, not earlier, and that when you see it from his perspective, especially when at the point of when I was going to have him be able to play the villains, I still haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do that. I'm still leaning towards no, because you're going to have a ton of the heroes. There's like seven or eight characters there that you'll probably get to play that aren't NPCs, right? Okay, so I still have to reconcile a little bit. Zanzibar needs to be in Enchanted Lands long enough to kind of learn how things work, and uh, but late enough that I could show his beginning or his origin, you might say. So I could guess I could still kind of do that. Maybe it's too if you think about time, even though I'm not gonna even though I'm not going to tell you the time exactly, but maybe in timeline, maybe he comes in at about the same time that John comes into the world. You know, he comes in through a different method, anyways. And so Zanzibar is an opportunist, and he looks for ways to get ahead. And so I guess I got two plots that they almost seem like a TV style dual plot because they don't seem to have to do with each other, sort of, but they sort of do. And so if his main channel is to con enough people out and to make enough money that he can retire somewhere, basically he can take off and go either back to our realm as somebody else. I mean, he could do that, or to another realm, or just hang out there in Enchanted Lands. Or he thinks he's going to. Although after conning a bunch of people, okay, so his we're gonna make that his main goal. I think I'm gonna keep that as his main goal. His main goal is to have this big show, uh, to steal enough money that he can basically go wherever he wants and do whatever he wants. That's presuming that wherever he goes, gold is a currency that he can use, and or at least maybe he can find a way of converting it. Who knows? So then his sub goal is to get Max to trust him enough to have him take care of the taxes because he thinks he's going to make some money off of there too. And so, in which case, he's going to drive the whole thing with Max. So he's going to know Max at this point, and he's not going to scam him to. Um, he's not going to accidentally scam him. In fact, I might could still put that in there as the thing that happens, but maybe he does it on purpose because he knows that Max likes this kind of thing. He likes these guys that basically do their own thing, that are greedy and are willing to do anything for it, kind of thing, even including disrespecting Max, which is something you kind of don't do normally, but since he sees them as just as kind of despicable as he is, he likes that, and so maybe Zanzibar knows it, right? And I keep saying Zanzibar, and it's kind of goofy to say because that's not a normal person name. You know, I know it's the name of like a country or something, or a city or something, city, country, something like that. But it's not like a people name, you know. And so, I mean, I could fake it as somebody's last name, but well, maybe that's how I should do it. Maybe I should give him a real name, and make Zanzibar be his last name. But because it sounds exotic, that's not what he uses as a stage name. That's not a bad idea. Zanzibar the Great. His name can be. I don't know what would go with Zanzibar, honestly, because Zanzibar just sounds too weird. You know, it could be like Mark Zanzibar, and you're like, Mark Zanzibar? That doesn't. Dan Zanzibar? That doesn't really sound good either. Um, I'd still have to think of something. Okay, so let's forget YouTube for a sec here. Actually, why don't I go to ChatGPT actually, and where is my okay? My bookmarks over here. Um, okay. All right. I guess I'll go ahead and use one of the previous deals because we were talking about Zanzibar here. Desire for fame and wealth. He could also seek validation, manipulation, deception. Yeah, this is funny. Probably trying to, if you even know what date it is. It's Thursday already, January the 25th. And it's like, no, it was Tuesday, January the 28th. In fact, what, we're still the 30th though, huh? Okay. And I don't know, it's funny, it's assuming. And that's the sort of thing too. If it doesn't know the answer, it should just say it doesn't know the answer. It's trying to calculate an answer. And honestly, I don't know how it wouldn't be that hard. If you put it in, you could put it in something, and you could um, let's pop this back up. Um, the OpenAI guys could actually go in and tell it, okay, it's this date and time, and then to judge internally what day and time it is based on that. Might could come up with something correctly, but as it is, it's like it's one of those weird things that where it should be able to know the date and the time without much problems here. Anyways, let's ask uh, ChatGPT if it can come up with a first name for Zanzibar. And quite odd for a name. I figured I needed a normal name as Zanzibar the Great is his stage name. But then I thought further and decided Zanzibar can be his last name. So what do you think would sound right as a first name, considering the last name is Zanzibar? See what it comes up with. I mean, it's just I'm just saying stuff, so maybe you can give me some idea. Harold, Harold Zanzibar, Harold. I don't know. Sounds like Eugene, Melvin, Melvin Zanzibar. That might work. Melvin just it sounds goofy. Sydney of Zanzibar, Felix Zanzibar. Hmm. Let's see. Reginald Reggie's Reggie Reggie Zanzibar Reginald Charlie Zanzibar. Mortimer Morty Zanzibar Morty. I think I like Melvin the best. Melvin just sounds the goofiest. It makes it. I don't know. It just Melvin. I don't know if I like a name like Melvin. I probably call him Mel, and Melvin sounds just kind of funny to me. You know. Hmm. I think I like Melvin the best so far. Hmm. Yeah. And maybe I won't even tell you his first name in the thing, but maybe I'll just refer to him as Melvin. Yeah, I mean, I could actually go and have it give me other suggestions, but I think that just about nails it here. Oh, darn it! I was open the stupid text editor. Text editor. I just use the text editor because it's kind of a quickie, just to jot stuff down that I need to. Um, I'm using this because of the ODT and because it's kind of this big long document here. Anyways, okay, so what we're going to do is, let's see. Okay. We're gonna make a plot outline here, just like that. Melvin. Zanzibar. Great. Zanzibar. Okay. The more I say Zanzibar, the more I hate saying it. It sounds too weird. It's like when you take a mundane word and you keep repeating it over and over again. Eventually, it just becomes this weird kind of like non-word. Like you're like, what does that mean? And it just loses all meaning. That's kind of what Zanzibar is doing right now to me. Plot. Main plot. How did I write the deal up here? I guess I'm copying some of my older deal. Main plot outline. No, main plot. Actually, I could just copy this and kind of modify it a little bit if I need to. That's actually what I should do probably. Okay. Actually, this. Okay, magician in our room. After breaking magician's code, the Brotherhood of prestidigitation and chase after him. And Tiny escapes in a crowd of what looks like to be an elderly tour group. And when they escape and the portal into Enchanted Lands, he quickly realizes he can profit here just as well as anywhere else, and better since no one knows him here. After cutting a few visions of their limited funds, he decides he needs a big venue and creates a huge production in order to people all over the lands and from other realms as well. Um, uh, okay. Let's see something here. Here. He begins small, conning a few people out of some gold coins. Let's see. Wait, that's not okay. So, and that okay. So that begs another question. Okay, so his dream here is to make enough to retire from. Um, but that wasn't his goal originally, right? Because in our realm, he's trying to expose magicians. Uh, well, let's just say he's okay. After making money from breaking the magician's code. Um, I don't know if I need to put that in here because it's not that important. I want to set him up as just as a con, not as a. Yeah. Okay, so I almost kind of broke here. I don't need this right now. I almost kind of broke my own story here. See, because the reason that he is going into this thing is because he was exposing magicians. So why don't I change this a little bit? This is not. Uh, I think this Brotherhood of Prestidigitation, this Magician's Brotherhood, or whatever you want to call it. I don't think that should be a thing now in the story. So we're gonna tell in our realm, okay, and we're not gonna say after. And this will still be the same deal, but we're gonna do it differently. For and also a con. He likes to oh, that's right. That's when I had this idea of of having okay, so and also con uh okay, so there's another thing. Like I'm kind of screwing up all over the place here. With regards to a story. Okay, so basically, he could technically be a con or he could be a thief. I mean, there isn't a reason that he can't be both, I guess. This is why I was saying earlier that I wanted to give him a like like a pet, like a partner. Like he'd have it like a raven or a crow, probably a crow. I was deciding at one point. Um, it's weird. Let me go back to Chat GPT. Here, what am I doing? Come on. Here. Zanzibar's psychological depth, moral ambiguity, relationships. And then we're talking about subplots for villains. Okay. Maybe I didn't get that far with ChatGPT. That because I don't always use it. Okay. Okay, so maybe he's all these things. He's a con. He uses his sleight of hand to be able to steal stuff. Yeah, I wanted to give Zanzibar a like a sidekick, a pet that sort of kind of does his thieving basically. Um, all right. So either I know this adds another character, but this is not going to be another like a main character. It's going to be more like an extension of Zanzibar, his pet, and stuff is just a pet. He doesn't talk. He doesn't do anything. Even in Enchanted Lands, he's just a crow. Um, what was I gonna say? I was gonna call him Seamus originally, and then I decided, well, maybe I should go back to the stupid, back to YouTube. Go back to my stupid thing that here. Let's go into history instead of having to go through the other deal. 34, right? One tricks, and he's using different. And where was the part where I was looking at like birds and stuff? Uh, Did I not do that here? Maybe I did that afterwards. I started looking stuff up to some kind of point, but I was on break at one point. Could make Zanzibar's interactions with Max more interesting. Oh, that was when I was coming up with Kurt's. Oh, I was coming up the Wolfpack's leader, um, Rottweiler, and I know Rottweiler just sounds kind of normal, dumb, whatever. Um, that's interesting. Uh, yeah. Hold on. I'm just answering somebody's note, that notification you see up there. I'm just answering it in another window. Just give me a quick sec here. Okay. All right. And okay, so let's. All right. Let's just get a new blank screen here. And here, okay, it's still going, right? Yeah, good, good. Okay. It's that. Actually, that. Oh, there we go. It seems like I'm looking at my side monitor a lot more than, well, obviously, if I didn't have a second monitor, I wouldn't be looking at it, but anywho. So I have this kind of weird, it's not really a dilemma exactly, but it is sort of. So he's basically a con artist. He's also a magician. Actually, he's really good at being a magician, which also was what makes him a kind of good con because he can steal or con people out of money. And I was going to do this thing where he had this pet crow that actually went out and did the stealing while he was doing a show. And I was primarily thinking of I was primarily thinking of um, let me think here. Um, I was primarily thinking of in Enchanted Lands, this crow would actually essentially be a cut purse, right? Cut purse. They actually, cut the coin purse basically because it usually strapped to like a belt or to your trousers or something, your pants basically. I know I'm American, so I say pants meaning, uh, and I think it's because the difference. There's short pants and long pants, and really literally short shorts and it's literally trousers, right? Short and long trousers basically, and we used to call them pants. I mean, we still call them pants, but not like underpants like you say in the UK or Europe maybe. So I guess occasionally I'll say pants or I'll say trousers, just so you know what I'm talking about. I guess I tend to use trousers a little bit more than I used to, mainly because I talk to people online from different countries, and I didn't even realize that you use pants as sort of a derogatory statement. Like saying crap or something. Whatever. But anyways, suffice it to say, I'm talking about trousers, and so the idea is in Shadowlands they might have this bag of coins that strap to their waist somehow, and he uses this crow to snip the straps so that the crow can return to him with the gold. So it basically steals people's gold, and so I'm thinking that kind of wouldn't happen in our world. In our world, we have wallets and things, and credit cards and whatever. Uh, Even back in the day, and so I'd almost have to make the crow smart enough to be able to pick somebody's pocket, like literally take the wallet out of their pocket or to get into their purse somehow. And I suppose that could be maybe believable, maybe because they're super smart. Crows and ravens are really smart. They can get into stuff. They can solve puzzles. I don't know if you've looked. Uh, you'll have to search it on YouTube, but there was this one guy that created like this kind of obstacle course that led to some, I don't know, some food or something, and there were little puzzles trying to get the bird to do this certain thing, and it did it quite well. It figured out how to get into stuff. They know how to make tools. There's all kinds of cool stuff that crows and ravens and those kinds of birds do. They're super smart. So maybe it'd be believable they'd be smart enough that he'd be able to you remove somebody's wallet or something. At least if as long as the wallet was in a back pocket or something, might would work. And because he's so short, now people would be able to see him and would think he was interesting. Like if I was sitting at a table and I saw a crow hopping around, I think that was kind of funny or interesting. So I might would be more interested in that than I would be what's on the stage, maybe depending. So I don't know. So should the idea? So the question I gotta ask, I can ask you if you're listening, but should I give him this little sidekick that actually does this thievery, or should I just have him go in himself, and he's basically a con artist um, and can get stuff that ways? It make a little bit more sense that he has a little bit of help, because if you're doing some magic or something, it'd be hard to actually take something from somebody while you're doing that. So you actually have to either have somebody that does the distraction, or you have to do the distraction and somebody else does the thievery, so to speak. So maybe he has a pet crow that goes with him. Um, and maybe I'll just go ahead and add that to his story. Um, he likes to give free shows, even in our world. He likes to give free shows, and then have his little sidekick, a crow named what did I was gonna call him? Corvus. Corvus. How do you Corvus is a real name, right? Uh, is I don't know how you spell it. Corvus a real name? Corvus, B-U-S. Male name with Latin origins. It means raven. It means raven, obviously. Crows and ravens. Hmm. Oh, figures this is Marcus Aurelius Corvus. Oh, interesting. Some people have concerns about its association with the term coronavirus. Yeah, sure. Uh, let's ask ChatGPT something. Would Corvus be a good name for a pro? I was gonna call him Seamus just because it's just something I thought up, not for any particular reason. Excellent name for it comes from the Latin word for crow or raven, making it fitting a highly ominous name. Work well. Neither it's Zanzibar's pet crow, who also happens to be smart enough to be able to pick pockets at Zanzibar's shows. Corvus is a great name. Person like being too greedy, mischievous, or maybe holding grudges. Um, not really. I just needed uh something to help Zanzibar be able to pull off cons and thieveries. Thievery. And I thought it might be believable if what is wrong here? There we go. Big Crow were to either pull out a wallet or in the case of being inside and technically being a cut purse where he could use his beak to cut the flame purse strings in order to abscond with their gold. It was perfectly well-trained color could be ideal accomplished for Zanzibar's cons. Also, has a fun visual element. Where someone almost catches him in the act, but Zanzibar plays it off like part of the show. He could. I'll decide on that later. I just need to reimagine Zanzibar's introduction into Enchanted Lands because even though I couldn't really come up with a subplot, a proper subplot, I'm making it to where instead of just being caught trying to con Max, he actually does it as part of a plan in order to have Max make him the tax collector in Enchanted Lands. And the reason this works with the story is because the whole reason Enchanted Lands is now a tourist resort is so that the king wouldn't have to tax his subjects. So Hubert comes up with the bright idea to make the kingdom into a tourist resort. Okay. I'll explain some of the stuff to ChatGPT just because sometimes it comes up with something interesting and something I can bounce ideas and whatever and whatnot. That's a great setup. Zanzibar conning Max and then making him a tax collector not only strengthens his role in the story, but also makes him an active participant in Max's villainous schemes rather than just a minor con artist. Since the Enchanted Lands became a tourist resort to avoid taxation, as Zanzibar's presence. Actually, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you can tell it here. To avoid taxation looks like it's in italics because I guess it's something it came up with it. I mean, I told it that's what it was doing, but it told it to me in a different fashion than I told it to it. Anyway, that's just a interesting thing that I'm just noticing basically. But okay, so uh okay, so to avoid taxation, Zanzibar's presence as tax collector would be huge disruption. Also gives the heroes another reason to oppose him. His represents an unfair burden on the citizens. From comedic angles, Zanzibar himself could be hilariously bad at actual tax collection. Yeah, I don't know. ChatGPT like comes up with its own stuff, like something you don't ask for stuff, and then it just says junk. Sitting off the top, imposing ridiculous fees, or using Corvus to audit people's purchases. Would Zanzibar realize too late that Max never intended him to keep the position? Maybe he thinks he's getting rich, but Max is just using him to squeeze money out of the kingdom before throwing him under the bus. That could give Zanzibar a fun moment of betrayal, forcing him to flee. Um, I have a couple of ideas. In fact, what's already been said here. Um, let's see. What was I going to say? He is going to be skimming off the top for sure. But I also had that idea that um, Max agrees to help him with his big production, um, as long as he keeps drawing in people to capture. And then at some point, when he no longer needed slaves to work his mines, he would betray Zanzibar and let the people deal with him as a fraud. Which response do you prefer? That really works well. Zanzibar thinks he's playing Max. Max is actually playing him the whole time. The idea for Zanzibar is unknowingly helping Max to lure in victims. I don't know that he's unknowingly. That's not the point. He makes a deal with him to. He makes a deal. Max makes a deal with Zanzibar that he'll provide him with the means to do his really big show, and in return, he gets to poach the audience, so to speak. The idea, okay, unknowingly helping Max learn victims, slightly makes him more significant than the main villain scheme, will keep himself stirring comedic. Zanzibar's grand production as a disguise, his magic show could be framed as some sort of marvelous, miraculous, life-changing event. Wizard who grants wishes, angle you mentioned earlier, people come seeking help only to disappear. Zanzibar assumes that they just run off after being scammed, unaware Max is taking them. Zanzibar slowly catching on. He starts to notice something strange. Audience members leaving happy but never seen again. Tries to flip the tables, set him up, tries to outpawn him. His escape isn't really fire. You have to rely on trickery or purpose to escape the furious crowd. Maybe he barely gets away, swearing revenge on Max or deciding it's time to retire from cons, only to immediately get caught up in another one. Uh, Downfall is built into the con and gives him a strong arc, even if he remains coming a villain. Response 2, this is a solid plan. It keeps Zanzibar's role meaningful while reinforcing Max's cunning and ruthlessness. So Zanzibar thinks he's using Max to find his ultimate con, but in reality, Max is using him to lure fresh victims for the mines. That dynamic makes their alliance tense and doomed from the start. Skims from tax unknowingly helping Max. Okay. As if Captain no longer needs Zanzibar, his betrayal becomes a perfect setup for a dramatic but still funny downfall. Last ditch leads him backfires hilariously, forcing him to make a bad mistake. Will Zanzibar swear revenge against Max for this, or would he just see as part of the game, move on to the next scam? Uh, I don't know. I guess I like the shorter response better. Uh, I don't know. Maybe I would prefer the longer one, I guess. Um, uh, Zanzibar learns pretty early what Max is. Also, um, Zanzibar has to know about the people because it's because it's a deal Max is making with him. If he helps Zanzibar with his big show, uh, then Max gets to keep his audience. He tells him it may mean that uh, uh, your audiences get smaller each time. Meaning that your items get smaller each time, but until they're too small to perform for, he'll have made a lot of money. In addition to being tax collector. Um, so also Max has to know about the people. No. Because it's the deal, Max. If he helps Zanzibar, Max just keep his audience. He tells them it may mean that your audience is smaller each time. Until they're too small to perform for it, he'll have made a lot of money in addition to being the tax collector. Okay. It makes Zanzibar even more selfish and opportunistic, fully aware of what's happening. He just justifies it by because he's profiting. He also has a layer of dark comedy. He's fine with Max's scheme as long as he can milk it for money and fame first. How this makes it more integral to the story, the disappearing act theme, the irony of him making people vanish in his shows while Max enslaves them. Maybe Marcus's show, the phrase would come with the most astonishing disappearances in history. That's not a bad idea, I guess. Growing conflict. Over time, Zanzibar's greed clashes with Max's impatience. Maybe Zanzibar starts stalling. He doesn't want to lose his audience too fast. This frustrates Max, who sees Zanzibar as disposable. A scheme to escape before Max betrays him. If Zanzibar is clever, he recognizes that Max will eventually turn on him. Does he try to scam Max out of something before fleeing? Maybe he plans to fake his own death, stage the final vanishing act, or con Max into giving him more resources before skipping town. How did the heroes expose him? Maybe they figure out his text. Um, the heroes don't do anything, honestly. They don't actually interact with Zanzibar. Maybe I should have him interact with Zanzibar. Uh, somebody. Hmm. I'm not really sure. I didn't plan on having Zanzibar even interact with the heroes at all. I could, but I'll have to come up with a reason and a way to do it. Then it's about be more of a background scheme that adds depth to the world rather than some directly tie the main story. Uh, well, actually, it's not. It's still important to the story. It's just it deals with Max. Max needs people to work his mind, so he abducts them, and then he ends up using Zanzibar to help him do it. In fact, maybe his abduction of people is getting somewhat exposed, right? So there's that. Even though I haven't been going for very long, actually, let's see how long I've been going on here. How long have I been streaming? An hour and a half. I might take my coffee break sooner rather than later because I think Dad started a pot of coffee. I think that's what I heard in the other room. So, anyways, let's go through this first. If that, okay, they cross paths over taxes. Maybe the heroes run into someone or group trying to escape Channel because they can't pay Zanzibar's absurd taxes. Rumors of crooked tax collector investigate, which could lead to minor encounter. Hubert recognizes the con. Since Hubert's the reason Channel Islands became a tourist resort, you might hear about Zanzibar's tax schemes and realize it's undermining the whole system. Maybe Hubert wants to put a stop to it and he gets distracted by the bigger conflict with Max. Zanzibar tries to scam the wrong person. Maybe he attempts to con one of the heroes without realizing who they are. If he tries to swindle, say John, it could lead to a comic moment where John turns trick around on him, or maybe he mistakes William the Unicorn for an easy mark. Yeah, Sir William is not going to be talking for half of it, and the other half he is, and he and Nestor have mutual dislikes. Nestor is rough around the edges a bit, and mean himself. Maybe he hates Zanzibar for being a fraud. Well, he still there's a thing though. Zanzibar would have stolen from Nestor. It would be what it is. Maybe he tries to con some dragons, and Nestor is one of them because they have lots of gold, right? So he figures he can. I mean, that's a possibility. That's a little bit more work than I wanted to put in. Not that I don't want to put in work, because there's going to be a lot of work here. It's just, I mean, as far as his character goes, I may not want to put that much into his story like that. Quick Truth, other villains don't trust him. Maybe other villains like Violet or Kurt think he's a liability. Maybe Zanzibar has to prove his worth to stay in their good graces. Realize Max will betray him. Maybe he tries to switch sides, but too untrustworthy. Stay separate from the heroes. World building. Um, in actuality, what Zanzibar does is really important to this story. Max needs slaves for his mines. At some point, the machine is done and he no longer needs them. So this is the point. I thought I'd have Max betray Zanzibar by trying to expose him as a fraud, because he possibly knew all along that Zanzibar was skimming off the top of the tax money, and because he doesn't need someone else, doesn't need anyone else, he decides this is the best way to get rid of him. Is that much more integral to the story? He's not just a writing side, so he's facilitating Master Grand scheme. Yes. Guns in possession, tax collector, personal difficulty making money, time, supply of captive. He no longer needs Zanzibar. He exposes, barely escapes. Yeah, he's in it because at this time the heroes have breached the castle, and so he's got to get back to the castle to his gate, and he's got to kind of step up his timetable because now that they're there, they're going to try to stop him from opening portals into different worlds. And he has his armies amassed there. Our good guys are bringing their armies, a smaller army, and it's still gonna, it's still the kind of the underdog thing, right? Faking his death, maybe fleeing in disguise. That's another way that Star Wars is similar to not Return of the Jedi, to Star Wars in general. Um, and that is your stormtroopers. I was just thinking that Sauron has an unlimited supply of orcs, and even the Uruk-hai, that they're making new ones and so like that, the emperor, we'll say the emperor has an endless supply of stormtroopers, right? Because that's basically what they were. They were endless supply, basically, of stormtroopers, and so that's another way that makes Star Wars like Lord of the Rings. I have this theory that that Star Wars is Lord of the Rings. What they said was that George Lucas had wanted to. Now this is actually later. This is what eventually became Willow, but as his next movie, there he wanted to do I think the Hobbit. I think this is what he wanted to do is the Hobbit, and he couldn't get rights to the Hobbit, and I think it had something to do with the fact that the that these other companies had gotten a hold of the Lord of the Rings to put on the screen, and they made the kind of these poor cartoons out of them, and they didn't like that, so they didn't give George Lucas the movie rights um, to make the Hobbit, and so he quickly wrote a story that is maybe sort of similar in a way. It's not really similar, but it is kind of when he made Willow, and William is a hobbit. Even though they're called the Nelwyn, they're short people, right? They're little people, just like hobbits are little people. And but really, Star Wars, the original Star Wars, I'm saying, is essentially Lord of the Rings. And the reason I was saying that is just because there's the link later that he wanted to do the Hobbit, which kind of gives creed to my theory that he wrote Star Wars based off of Lord of the Rings. Because if you remember, the story is that George Lucas wanted to do Flash Gordon, like after American Graffiti, and he couldn't get the rights to do Flash Gordon. So instead, he came up with Star Wars. Well, if you're working on something, maybe he already had a story in mind. He already had things going for the Flash Gordon, and when that fell through, he had to quickly come up with Star Wars, right? Not that he came up with it super quickly, but quickly meaning any of the time that he lost when trying to secure the rights to Flash Gordon, maybe he had to do quicker. So what do you do? What would you do? You go to your favorite story, right? Probably Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings was popularized in the '60s. You know, owing to the fact that American college campuses they were essentially bootlegging a copy of Lord of the Rings and passing it around college, and that's how it got so popular in the '60s. So evidently, George Lucas probably read one of these. Um, he did student stuff in the '60s. That's when he was in film school and whatever. And so, what I think is, I think he went over the thing of Lord of the Rings, and he sort of basically just took elements. So Han Solo is Aragorn, um, and Chewbacca can be like a composite, really, but Obi-Wan Kenobi is like Gandalf, and in fact, if you think about it, right, remember at the when Darth Vader faces off against Obi-Wan, he says, "Strike me down, become more powerful than you can possibly imagine." Well, what happens to Gandalf when he faces the Balrog, right? Later on, he comes back and he's Gandalf the White now. He's more powerful than he was as Gandalf the Gray, right? So there's all these different little deals, And then of course Luke Skywalker is on a farm, and um, you know maybe he wants to go off and go to the academy, but his uncle makes him stay there, and he kind of doesn't really want to leave. Sort of. I mean, he does, but he's like he feels like he's bogged down there. So then, like Frodo wanted to go with Bilbo off on one of his adventures, but because they're hobbits, they are not really adventurous, and so he kind of stays around. You know, there's a just a bunch of different kind of you know, Merry and Pippin are C3PO and R2D2 basically, you know, um, and so and yeah, Chewbacca is kind of a composite, you know. There wasn't hardly any women. Now there's two main women in Lord of the Rings, right? You know, Arwen, and then um, so you know, there's Eowyn and Galadriel, right? But um, there wasn't that many in Lord of the Rings exactly. Just like there's only one princess, you know, in Star Wars, and you just if you took a Mount Doom, which is a volcano, which if you think of what a crater looks like, it's like a mountain, but it's got like the top is cut off, and so it's like a hole. Well, if you kind of turn it up on its side, it looks kind of like the dish in the Death Star. So the Death Star is like Mount Doom, right? Returning the Ring is like them going up against the Death Star. I mean, there's just like tons of little deals, and I don't even know why I went off on this, but it's just something I just thought of, anyways. But I guess I should get back to my story. Sorry about that. I always do that though. I mean, if you're gonna watch one of my live streams, you're just gonna be have to be subject to that. Me uh, having to me going off on some tangent or another before I realized that I've forgotten why I told the story in the first place. Anyways, yeah, Cantaloupe says his name is Cantaloupe McGillicuddy Blender. Oh, that explains it all. Okay, okay, so potential outcomes. I'm not going in too deep with Zanzibar. He doesn't care that Max takes captives. However, before Zanzibar comes in, he's abducting citizens of Enchanted Lands. But with how busy he is and the fact that some people are starting to notice this appearances, Max figures out this is a better way to do it, and at the same time take the blame, take the suspicion off of himself and puts it onto Zanzibar. Okay. Primary role is to provide cover for Max's operation, drawing attention away from. Yep. Well, he's not. He's not scamming citizens. He is just abducting them by making. Do you think this? Well, well, generally, Max isn't running any kind of a scam. He just has his henchmen grab citizens and tourists alike. And they just disappear. But when Zanzibar offers him an opportunity to get more captives and also have um, also possibly an alibi, he takes the opportunity. When he takes the opportunity. Okay, we'll just leave it like that. Is about kidnapping for his mines, and Zanzibar just offers him a clever solution to make his operation even more. Yes, exactly. Uh, Even more efficient and less traceable. Low key, right? His operation growing, he realized that containing kidnaps might eventually draw too much. Zanzibar's skilled trickster and magician knows how to pull off big cons. He sees the opportunity, Max kidnapping, and offers to help him expand the operation. Okay, yeah, well, that's kind of plays into what I was saying, anyways, originally, right? I was saying, I was making him, instead of conning Max and not knowing it, and then almost getting zapped or whatever, and then Max turning around and liking him, it was be part of Max Zanzibar's idea. He knows the Max is the bigwig around here, and then he also realizes that if they take in taxes, he could make a lot of money off of that. So he comes in and yeah, and so he could come in and actually exactly what ChatGPT is suggesting. Expand the operation and make it look like a series of magical performances, turning objections into a spectacle. He proposes he'll put on a show for the tourists and use his tricks to make it look appealing to fans, provide cover, and also bringing in more captives. Max is always looking away. Agrees that Zanzibar knows the public would be more likely to believe the disappearance of part of magic rather than a sinister plot. Involvement gives Max an alibi. Right. As part of the deal, Zanzibar gets to continue to scam, and Max gets to increase the number of captives. At first, everything goes to plan. Zanzibar's performers attract large crowds, and Max continues his kidnapping under the guise of the use of the magic tricks. Okay. Eventually, Max's true nature shows through. Once he no longer needs Zanzibar services after the cab are gathered, decides by exposing his fraud to remove any loose ends. Max could make it seem like Zanzibar was always a fraud and intentionally tricked people into thinking. Uh, okay, it's going a little bit too far afield to what I want, but it's generally the right idea. Uh, Wealth from the con, however, is creates a turning. Yeah, it's neither. He ends up escaping though. Okay, that's mostly correct. I would probably finesse a few things about this description, but that's mostly right. He escapes during the big show when Max finds out the heroes are storming the castle, and Zanzibar narrowly escapes people. That's now it's even trying to Okay. Big show and disappearances. Yeah. Uh, this is mostly it. Yes. Thanks. I don't know if I'll take that word for word, but I'm going to use that to make my little plot outline here. Okay, but okay, so I guess right now I should go ahead and take a break. Again, I've been doing a little bit better this time, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to actually be fairly quick on my breaks instead of taking such a long time. And maybe go get my coffee, and then I'll come back and then I'll finish writing Melvin's uh his plot outline, and then maybe I can get to Red Riding Hood and Kurt Wolf's plot outlines. I have to almost completely uh, write a new story for Kurt though, because he's no longer a cowardly werewolf. Now he's a sneaky kind of a usurper or whatever. He pretends to be cowardly and wimpy, and really he's scheming to take control of the wolf pack. And Violet promises he'll become leader of the wolf pack if he gets rid of Red. So, anyways, okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take my break, and then I'll be back here. Let's go to on break. And thanks for listening, watching so far. And I'll be back in about 15 minutes. Hopefully, no more, longer than that. I'm back. Alrighty. And check that out. Check everything out. Everything is good. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. All right. Okay, so back we are, and audio looks like it's good. I have the desktop audio on purpose just in case I need to go. Anyways, um, I kind of wonder what the please wait screen sounds like, because I had desktop audio on, then I had the page open. I had YouTube, the stream open on YouTube, and so not only did you get the music from OBS, but you also got the music uh, from the web browser, and so it might have sounded trippy, or it might have just sounded like noisy garbage. Okay, I don't know if Corvus is really important here, but we'll say that he is. I don't know if he's going to show up in anything other than him being there. Uh, he likes to give free shows and then have his little sidekick, a crow named Corvus, to uh, pickpockets. Of the audience. Okay. Now, did I did say that it's him entering into was going to be different. Him entering into Enchanted Lands. It's still going to be the same basic thing, but um, we're going to streaming right now, working out some more story to my game. Um, okay, so what would be the purpose of exposing people's tricks? And I thought it'd be funny at the time because he's a magician, and so basically they'd be chasing him, want to do harm to him for exposing their secrets. And I went, what's the real reason for exposing their secrets? Yeah, I mean, could he make money off of that? I mean, that's possible. It's possible that he would put on a show that exposes somebody's secret and then make money with that. And I suppose they could get mad at that. So it might be a little bit different. He still gets in the same way, but maybe instead he managed to con somebody big, and um, whoever this person is got the police behind him or something. Now, what did he put up here? After breaking the magician's code, let's see. After conning, I guess he's supposed to be in Las Vegas. Uh, After conning police, I suppose they have a chief of police in Las Vegas. the police start after him, and he ducks into the local convention hall and follows a group of elderly gentlemen into a room wherein as the door is closed, all the gentlemen are dressed kind of oddly and step through a portal the police okay, with the police at his heels, he decides to step in too and ends up in enchanted lands. Okay, what did I put up here? It's kind of weird because like I knew what to write before, and then he quickly realizes, okay. After a while, he finds out he can con people out of some coins, which appear to be gold coins, and then continues for a bit, realizing no one knows who he is. Uh, uh, uh. He creates he figures out Max is running things. And learns a bit about the history, and then proposes tax collecting to Max. Well, actually, his end goal is to make enough money to retire on somewhere without people knowing who he is. Retire to retire on somewhere quiet. Let's see. Now, what was his personal goal? His main goal is to put on this big show. Hmm. Okay, let's go to ChatGPT again for a second. Okay. Jelly Maxi. what else did I put up here? I'm actually reading my own responses to ChatGPT. You can see I don't use ChatGPT like blanket, like, holy, um using it. I just use it more as a something to react to, basically, right? Let's see. At some point, the machine is done and no longer needs them. Portray Zanzibar. Coming off the top. Has to know about because the steel is making with them. Okay. It's gonna be skipping off the top. Sure, we also had the idea that Max agrees to help him with this big production, as long as he keeps drawing people to capture, and then at some point. Okay. Even though I can't really come up with the proper, I'm making it where instead of just being caught. Yeah, it's actually part of a plan in order to make Max, in order to have Max made him tax collector. Uh, uh, hmm, let's see. Mm-mm-mm. Think about what I like so far. Okay. I just had to go over the thing here. Okay, so um, so just a little bit more about myself. When I was a kid, um, I was diagnosed with hyperactivity, what we call, um, actually it's ADHD, but that's adult, ADD, attention deficit disorder. Um, so I had the same thing basically. I have ADD, or had ADD, or whatever you want to call it. Um, so that's why I tend to go off on tangents. That's why I tend to forget stuff like rather quickly, and so I have to go back to something to help me remember it, because my short-term memory is like, I mean, I can keep things in mind. If I have something I have to do, I can kind of make sure that I remember something. But I have this thing. If I'm thinking of something, sometimes other stuff just pushes it right out. So what happens here is, okay. So what was I trying to do? What was I trying to think of? Um, Zanzibar is now kind of proactive. So he learns a little bit. Zanzibar learns a little bit. Learns a little bit about enchanted lands, as well as Max himself. I was still trying to think of a subplot, wasn't I? One of the deals is he becomes a tax collector. Maybe I should ask ChatGPT to give me some sense based on what I typed. Um, based on what I've typed here, could you sum up the main plot, that is Zanzibar's main character arc and his subplot as well? See what it says I've done, so it can give me some ideas here. Because I'm still having trouble thinking about what needs to go on. Let's see what it says here. Zanzibar, a trickster magician, arrives in Enchanted Lands with grand plans to become famous and wealthy. His goal is to pull off the ultimate con by using his magic tricks to deceive and entertain while also skimming off the top from his audience. He's a former petty thief turned stage magician looking for a big break. After learning about the opportunities of Enchanted Lands, Zanzibar decides to approach Max, offering to help him bring in more captives for his operation in exchange for a lucrative role of tax collector in Enchanted Lands. That's not exactly what I thought of, but that's the right connection, I think. I think this is kind of the right connection. So he makes a deal. Now there's going to be the deal that Max makes with him to actually help produce his big production. Okay. Live comfortably by siphoning off money and increasing his personal wealth. Max's agreement. Max, initially skeptical, agrees to help Zanzibar with his big show, but with the condition that Zanzibar helps him get more captives. Right. Well, we already said that. In return, Max promises Zanzibar the role of tax collector. Agrees to this arrangement, understanding that Max is not above using people for his own ends, but he figures he can still get rich enough through his show and skimming off the taxes. Zanzibar will working with Max to build his audience to keep the captives coming in, and only gets into a dangerous situation. Max realizing that no longer needs captives for his mines once his machines betray Zanzibar by exposing the frauds to his audience. Max likely knows about Zanzibar skimming off the top of the tax money, decides to cut ties, putting the blame on him to protect himself. Max prepares to reveal Zanzibar's true nature and have the audience turn on him. Zanzibar narrowly escapes avoiding Max's trap. He takes leave of Enchanted Lands, still killing his goal. Okay. That's, okay. This is where it's a little iffy here. Zanzibar's main personal struggle centers around his ambition to become the greatest magician con artist. Well, I mean, I could say that. That's not really what I was thinking of, but while he is aware of the dangers of the seedy natures of daily, he's driven by the need for success and recognition and becomes driving force if it means working with shady figures. Revolves a complicated relationship with magic. While he initially uses his magical talent to deceive and entertain his encounter with real magic and forces him to face the limits of his abilities. He's an imposter, but love for magic. It came up with its own subplot, but maybe it's because I haven't really stated a subplot for him in the discussion, which is so it's probably my fault for that. Mm. What's up, Big Con? Partnering with Max. Oh, about it for a bit. Mostly correct. There's the part about wanting to put on his biggest show yet and to quit when he's ahead. Uh, so one of them, if we could put it in terms of rather than plot and subplot, more like plot A and plot B, or character arc, plot A and plot B. Plot A is Zanzibar's ultimate goal of pulling off the biggest con. But it would really just be a robbery. It wouldn't necessarily be a con for it, really. Putting on his biggest show to steal the most money possible. Plot B is Max wanting to increase his personal wealth by becoming a tax collector. So even if his audience and actually that could be all the subplot really is. It's a more of a personal goal. The other one is also a personal goal, but actually that's why I said plot A and plot B. Yeah. I don't know whether to classify this as a plot and subplot or not. Then it's complicated with the fact that okay. So plot B is just what it is, and plot A actually involves a bit more. Maxing the potential and realizing taking captives isn't very doesn't yield great results. Offers to make a deal with Max. And actually that can be like a later on in the story. It can actually be so he does this thing for a while and then he realizes he needs more people, and so then this graduates to Zanzibar, holding on bigger and bigger shows until he is able to pull off his ultimate show. Doesn't yield great results. Offers to make a deal with Max. Deal with Zanzibar, promising help him put on his big show. I just had another thought. could be the fact that he makes him tax collector at first. He finds out that he's skimming off the top, and it's at that point where he hatches this plan to help him create this big show, because he knows he's going to get rid of them when he's done with the captives. That that might work. All Zanzibar has to do is what he's been doing, but making sure the distraction is so good they won't realize people are being taken. Okay. Let's see now. Okay. As people are being because he knows that Zanzibar is taking money off the top as a tax collector. He decides when he's done with the slaves, with the captives, I guess, with the captives. Let's see. Okay, so maxing the potential, realizing taking captains doesn't yield results, offers to make a deal with Zanzibar, promising to help him out, put on his big show, and all Zanzibar has to do is what he's been doing, but making sure that the distraction is so good that they won't realize people are being taken. Okay, so that should be like a period. I mean, it doesn't really matter as far as punctuation goes, but this is a different thought. Because he knows that Zanzibar is taking money off the top as a tax collector, he decides when he's done with the captains, he will expose him as a fraud and let the audience take care of him. Okay. Just when the mob is about to be unleashed, he gets word that the castle is being stormed and leaves, and Zanzibar manages to escape. That's kind of the plot in a nutshell, basically. Okay, let's see what it comes up here. Plot A and plot B. Network error occurred. Hopefully I'm still online. What's that? Oh, that's mail. Here, let's go to YouTube. Let's make sure it just loads up. It probably does, yeah. It loads up. So whatever is a problem with its own deal. Regenerate. I mean, really, there is it. I mean, there's a plot and a subplot. So, and when you say plot, um, you're referring to the character's own plot, and a subplot, like I said, is usually personal or it's small or and it usually contributes. So, both of these are dual plots, but they intertwine. So it's not like a TV dual plot. It's still like plot and subplot. It's just that they both kind of share importance, I guess. Oh, they align with Max's scheme. Zanzibar's big show. Zanzibar is a con artist and magician driven by his desire to pull off the biggest, most profitable show of his life. His dream is to make a grand spectacle, draw a massive audience, and rake in as much wealth as possible. He just has a chance to quit while he's ahead, getting in and out of the game with a fortune. This is the core of his mission and what drives him throughout the story. He doesn't want to get bogged down by smaller scams or distractions. He wants the big score. His goal is simple: create the ultimate distraction, his show to steal the most money and walk away with it all. When Max approaches him, Zanzibar initially sees the deal as a means to get what he wants. Max offers him the chance to put on a big show in exchange for helping Max with the schemes. Zanzibar knows this may be his last chance to truly make it big and plans to use Max's connections and opportunities in Enchanted Lands to create the biggest con of his career. He agrees to keep the audience's attention while Max handles the captives, knowing he's skimming from the tax money as collector. As Max no longer needs captives for his mines and prepares to betray Zanzibar, he plans to expose Zanzibar as a fraud to save his own skin. Zanzibar realizes the betrayal, but narrowly escapes just as the mob is about to turn on him. The heroes storm the castle, and Zanzibar uses the chaos as an opportunity to slip away. Knowing that even though he's avoided exposure, his show is far from over. Plot B. Max's desire for power and wealth. Now, you're still talking about this as Max's scheme. It's a scheme, but it's still part of Zanzibar's story. It's not part of Max's. Max's own story is to be able to conquer the lands, but he's using various people to do that. It's really funny because the other characters are really integral. It looks like it almost feels like I'm spending more time on Zanzibar, a guy that was a kind of a side character. I mean, he wasn't. I had intended him to be in there all the way back, or at least when I wanted to balance out the number of villains and heroes. But now he's kind of turned into kind of this power player here in the story. Max's primary goal is to amass wealth and power. See the opportunity Chaylan is offering to become the king. Kingdom's already set up a tourist-based economy. Rules deck under control. Taking captives and turning them into slaves for his monarch isn't as profitable as he'd hope. Max sees an opportunity in Zanzibar. And Zanzibar's need for a big break and offers to help him put on a huge show. In exchange, Zanzibar will continue to perform, providing a great distraction while Max takes advantage of the tax money coming in. Max knows that Zanzibar has been skimming from the taxes, but is willing to let it slide for now until he no longer needs it. Control and exposure. Yeah, it's kind of showing the same thing, though, at least the way ChatGPT is showing it. And I guess it's kind of the same thing in a way. Whereas his sub goal was to get Max to let him be tax collector so he could skim off the top. It's just a little personal deal so that even if everything went wrong, he'd at least have this little bit of extra money set aside. So he'd be making this extra money just in case. And that's really all a subplot really needs to be, is that the main plot is, of course, putting on the shows and basically stealing from people. Okay. Anyways, betrayal and exposure. Gain wealth. And even ChatGPT's got this wrong. Reach bone circuit. I'm actually getting close to done. It's almost 4 o'clock. I'll probably give it another 30 minutes so I can write this down. ChatGPT is really kind of helping, but it's actually getting some things wrong. But that's okay. I mean, I like I said, I wasn't trying to use works well, dual story, both characters are separate intersecting goals. That's not what this is about. This is about well, you kind of got the idea wrong. Oh, he's actually got two. Oh, that's because of that. You kind of got the idea wrong. This is about Max's This is about Zanzibar's story, which has a main plot and a subplot. The subplot is merely to become tax collector, so if anything goes wrong with one, at least he has the other. If his magic shows go south, to coin a term, to coin a phrase. With the one, at least he has the other. If his magic shows go south, at least he's still got the tax money. If Max finds out about the tax scheme, which he probably knows already, then at least he has his money from his shows. So the main plot is actually his big show, his intent to do one final big show, set himself up for life. Now, these are the two goals of Zanzibar. Facilitate this. The story goes that Zanzibar gets into the realm and is able to pretty easily steal from his audiences, but he needs some help because he doesn't have the resources to pull off the big show. I could say the big con, I guess. To pull off the big con, he doesn't have enough resources to pull off the big con. So after learning about enchanted lands, he figures Max should have a tax collector, and that should be him. So he sets up a meeting, and Max agrees. Okay, wait. Okay, so I'm right about what I want here. This is what I want, but how the order goes and how it works. Here's Max could help him with this problem. No. Nope, this is right. I was on the right track here. Big time. After learning a bit about enchanted lands, realizes Max could use a tax collector and offers his services. Okay. Okay, so here's where I'm having trouble. It's just my thought, though. And that is that Max makes this big deal to help his show. But for the moment, um, what am I having a problem with? I'm having a problem with something. Um, because he's gonna make him this deal, and supply his shows. Okay, we'll do it this way. Although this is something that would be told in the story if it was a linear story and not necessarily in the game, or if it's in the game, I don't really know how to how to work it, but we'll I'll write this down and then I'll figure it out later. After learning a bit about Enchanted realizes Max could use a tax collector and offers his services. Max is reluctant at first. I don't know how to show that, but we'll do something, a dialogue line or something. But then, uh, how about this? Okay. While he's trying to figure out how to pull off this big show, Max approaches him and says he could help him with his big show if Zanzibar helps him get more people into his mines, and suggests that doing even bigger shows uh, he suggests that doing even bigger shows could mean they could round up people quicker and easier, round up more people quicker and easier at the shows. It's a bar. Maybe presumably maybe he offers him to become tax collector, uh, hinting that he could actually take some money from the taxes. That way Max already knows about it, but it kind of makes the story a little bit more cohesive because he's going to use this as an extra incentive for Zanzibar to take him up on the deal. Okay. Well, he's trying to figure out how to build Max presence so he can help him with Big Show. Zanzibar helps him get more people in his mind, and says that doing even bigger shows could mean they could round up more people quicker and easier at the shows. Zanzibar is a little skeptical first, uh, but figures. Oh, maybe Zanzibar kind of offers this instead of Max offering to him. Uh, so Zanzibar, being a little bit greedier, decides, you know what? How about this? I'll take your deal, but why don't you throw in a tax collector into this? And if it so happens that a few extra taxes are gone, it won't really matter to you because your goal is already, you know. And of course, it would still matter to Max, but he would be like pretending like he doesn't care. And then, of course, he cares later on. He betrays him. But figures Zanzibar is a little skeptical at first, but then asks Max to throw in the tax collector. I don't know what you call it, tax collector ship. Huh? What, what would you throw in the role of tax collector? And he'll do it. And if a few taxes end up being lost along the way, how would you say that? if it, if tax collections were a little bit less, you wouldn't mind. Few taxes ended uh, came came up short. Came up a little bit short. Then you wouldn't mind all that much. Max agrees. Max agrees. Okay. We'll do it like that. Okay, we'll do it like that. There we go. The big show. Oh, it's still coming up with stuff. See how this works. Half the time, it does get it wrong, but it gives me ideas to work off of so that I can just figure it out. Uh, Zanzibar's dreams. Zanzibar is a con artist magician. His ultimate goal is to perform the grandest show of his career and intent to make an enormous amount of wealth. This is his final con, and one where he hopes to steal enough money to set himself up for life, and he wants the show to be huge, not just in scale, but in the amount of money he'll pocket while distracting the audience with his tricks and performances. His big show will show him to disappear from the scene, free from risk of getting caught for his cons, as he plans to leave while he's ahead. To pull off this massive con, Zanzibar doesn't have the resources. He's clever, but he's not a big time enough to put on a show of this scale on his own. He needs help. Specifically, he needs a way to bring in more people to his shows and keep them distracted while he works his magic. At this point, he's trying to figure out how to increase the size of his audience, and perhaps gain the crowd's trust him enough to let him pull off bigger schemes. Zanzibar's a smart man. He knows that nothing ever goes exactly as planned. Even if the big show's a success, there'll always be a risk that things go wrong. Perhaps the authorities catch one of his schemes or his magic trick don't work as well as he expects. So wants a secondary source of wealth, a fail-safe in which case doesn't in case his con doesn't go off his plan. This is where the idea of becoming a tax collector comes in. If the big show fails, at least he can rely on the taxes he collects from Land citizens. This is basically what I said to ChatGPT. On the flip side, Max discovers that he's been skimming money off the top from the tax collector. At least Zanzibar will still have his money from his shows. He's hedging his bets, making sure he's both avenues open, one that relies on his charisma and magic, and another is more secure but less glamorous. Plot A and B, main plot and subplot. Big Show gets deeper in the planning of his biggest show, pulling off the stops that allow him to steal the most money, putting everything in. This will be Swan Song. This is the highest and end all. He'll make his fortune and then vanish. Max eventually approaches Zanzibar the proposition to help him with the show. Max, knowing Zanzibar is good at drawing crowds, offers to put on a master performance. In return, Zanzibar must help bring in more captives for his mine operation by using the show as a way to round up more people. This agreement is that Max gets the people for the mines and Zanzibar gets the show, a win-win for both. Max, of course, doesn't care about Zanzibar's show, but is eager to exploit the opportunity to fill his mines with more workers. The backup plan, becoming the tax collector. While working on this big show, Zanzibar also sees an opportunity in the tax collecting role. He figures out that Max's desire to control enchanted lands wealth could work to his advantage. Zanzibar asks for the role of tax collector as part of the deal. He argues that it would be a mutually beneficial arrangement. If tax collections accidentally come up short, Max wouldn't mind. Max agrees to this as long as Zanzibar helps him with his larger goals, namely getting more people into the mines. Zanzibar's strategy. By becoming the tax collector, Zanzibar is setting himself up with a secondary stream of income. In this case, his show doesn't go as planned. He also knows that if Max finds out about tax fraud, Zanzibar can always fall back on his shows. This is a safety net for him as he both avenues covered. The taxes may be a little bit shady, but they ensure that he can live comfortably if the big show doesn't pan out. Um, yeah, he doesn't mind if Max knows that he is um he doesn't know that the Max knows that he's skimming off taxes. He does care about it, but he doesn't. Um, he does already know, so that's not a part. Tension builds as gets closer to his big show. However, as Max sees his captives being run up, he begins to plan his own betrayal. Max knows Zanzibar has been skimming from taxes and realizes he no longer needs him for the plans. So Max decides to expose Zanzibar as a fraud after the show, planning to let the audience and authorities deal with him. It won't be the authorities because he's the authority in the lands, but this is still the idea. Just when the mob is about to turn on Zanzibar, the castle is stormed, and he narrowly escapes, dodging Max's betrayal. Uh, Even after narrowly escaping, Zanzibar has left the knowledge that he's outsmarted Max, at least for now. He hasn't given up on the goal of setting himself up for life and can apply his next big move. Yeah, that's just it doesn't really matter. If I ever made a sequel, I could bring Zanzibar back if I wanted to. But it doesn't really matter. It's just his deal is him escaping it. That's his dealing. Summary. Main plot. Zanzibar wants to put on his biggest show and to steal as much money as possible and set himself for life. Zanzibar also aims to become the tax collector, creating a backup plan for himself in case things go wrong with the show. There's cons. The role allows him to skim money off the top, ensuring that he has. Well, I guess you have authorities. You might have like local village authorities and stuff, and they're not happy with what's going on in the lands either, but they're still there. So I guess ChatGPT is correct. There would be authorities there. Let's keep an eye on this prize. Okay. This role allows him to skim money off the top, ensuring as a cushion for or if Max betrays him. Okay. Yes, this is mostly correct for Zanzibar. And thanks. I always say thanks. I know it's just a machine basically, but at some point they're gonna become like kind of like people. They're gonna I don't know if you would call it a sentience, but they'll become self-aware, and you'll have to treat somebody polite. You'll have to treat a you know, an android politely like you would a human, because they would react like humans. They might get mad or they might get sad or put off or whatever. Whatever is programmed into them. Uh, yes, this is mostly correct for Zanzibar, and thanks. Okay. Even though it's still got a few things a little kind of wrong, sort of. It's mostly aligned. And this is kind of the power of like Chat GPT, right? Of the AI. Okay. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. Zanzibar the Great is a magician, scam artist, magician, con artist, and thief. After conning the Las Vegas chief of police out of a sizable fortune, the police start coming after him, and he escapes in by getting into a crowd of elderly gentlemen. When they all go through a portal, he figures he has nothing to lose, and then learns to do his cons there. And follows them into enchanted lands. While there, he realizes no one is after him, and so decides to set up his shows again. He wants to pull off a big final show, but doesn't have the resources. Max comes in and makes a deal with him that he'll help produce supply his shows, and Zanzibar will distract the audience enough to take more people captive for his minds. Zanzibar reluctantly agrees. And eventually puts on big show. We'll just leave it like that, because the plot is that's the plot. The plot is he'll supply or fund his shows, and Zanzibar will attract these large crowds so that he can take captives for his minds. Okay. Subplot: Zanzibar knows This could go awry at any time. And then also ask Max to let him be tax collector. So that he could also make a little extra money on the side. Yeah. And noting if a few taxes come up short, that Max wouldn't mind. Max agrees, but also let's see. I agrees. Max exposes Zanzibar as a fraud. And is about to let the audience dispose of him when he gets a message that the castle is being stormed. It also does really Max agrees. We'll say Max agrees because it's all wrapped up in that. I mean, these are two, they're kind of almost the same plot, but they have their own little like quirks here. And also when I'm thinking of like little if I'm thinking of plot points, this subplot is also still weak as far as that goes. It's still part of the main deal. So, uh, so it's still kind of a problem. It's not really a problem because really I could just, you know what, I could just let this go as a, I could just make a single plot outline that includes both deals. Because all this is going to do is it's just going to add an extra thing to it. In other words, there's not an inciting incident. Inciting incident here is that Zanzibar, knowing a little bit now about the history of Enchanted Lands, proposes that he becomes his tax collector. Right, and that's kind of your, I guess, your inciting incident or whatever. Then you have plot point one and midpoint and plot point two, climax or resolution, and all that. But there's not really, that's not really built into this. Which is interesting. I wonder if ChatGPT could come up with something. This is kind of tricky, and again, I didn't exactly. I did. Okay, so this is still progress, of course. Still progress. In other words, I figured out a story that I want to do for Zanzibar. I made the story stronger. I still didn't give him like a subplot, though. Maybe something alternate. Maybe there's something alternate I could make Zanzibar do and make this part of the main plot. Or something that he plans to do. Because before, what he planned to do is, scam Max out of some of the taxes. If he doesn't know, then he could do that. But that still doesn't mean there will be a bunch of extra events. So I can't really separate that into a separate plot. I wonder. Uh, well, initially, yeah, almost done with the stream. Um, Trying to come up with story with character arcs is sometimes a bit tough, but I'm getting there. No progress on the plot outline, but at least one of the characters is about ready to add to it. Okay. Um, well, initially, um, this here was a an okay idea for a plot and subplot. Really, the subplot isn't a plot. It's just an extra layer onto the main story. Because how would you take this subplot, and we'll copy the text exactly as he put it, or as it put it, sorry. There's no he or she here, but uh, and break it up into inciting incident, plot point 1, midpoint, plot point 2, climax, and resolution. Doesn't really work, as this is just doesn't really work as a separate subplot. Hmm. Right, the subplot in its current form doesn't have the structure to stand alone as a traditional subplot, more like a layer on top of the. We can still break it into a more cohesive structure that makes sense in the context of the main plot. Backup plan for becoming tech can still be integrated in a larger narrative. Okay, inciting incident. Zanzibar arrives from Channel Lands, the goal pulling off his biggest con yet by organizing extravagant magic show. He starts performing a smaller tricks and scamming the locals, and realizes he'll need more resources and a bigger audience to pull off his big plan. Max approaches Zanzibar with an offer. Max sees potential of combining Zanzibar's big show with his own need for captives for his mines. Max proposes a partnership where Zanzibar helps draw more people through his spectacular show and also distract the public from the objections happening behind the scenes. Max agrees to help with the show. In exchange, Zanzibar demands a backup plan to become the tax collector. Um, this is still correct. Actually, this is really good. I could copy this as is, at least for the one main plot. And even though it was ChatGPT, it was still kind of my prompting. I fashioned it, so it's still kind of okay. And it's also okay because you're not going to see this. This is not something that you're going to see in writing. I mean, other than when you watch the stream. And if I provide the notes somewhere online, like a Dropbox or something, or Google Drive or some cloud thing, um, and I can do that. That's not a problem. I'm just meaning as far as the actual game is or thing is concerned, you don't see these words here. Okay. Um, Also help distract the public with abductions happening behind the scenes. Max agrees to help with the show. In exchange, Zanzibar demands back up to him to become a tax collector. Okay. Zanzibar's show is growing and the crowds are getting larger. Meanwhile, Max continues his plan to round up more captives, but things are getting riskier. Zanzibar starts skimming off the top of the tax money he's collecting, ensuring that he has financial cushion. However, he begins to worry that Max may turn on him once the show reaches its peak and no longer needs captives for the mines. As the show approaches the grand finale, Max's intentions become clear. Zanzibar realizes Max always planned to betray him once the show was over and the captives were used up. Despite this, Zanzibar presses on with his plan, determined to complete his biggest con and set him up for life. He hopes that his money from both the show and the tax scene will provide enough of a safety net to escape any fallout. Climax. During the grand finale of the show, as Max's betrayal becomes imminent, Zanzibar narrowly escapes with his earnings slipping away as the mob begins to gather to expose him. Max has been waiting for the moment to have Zanzibar exposed as a fraud, but when the heroes storm the castle, it throws everything into chaos. Zanzibar uses the opportunity to escape. That's exactly what I was thinking of, and this is good for the main plot anyways. He still doesn't have a subplot, though, but, you know, maybe I shouldn't need a subplot. Maybe one character without a subplot is not going to be the end of the world, right? Zanzibar's escape marks the end of the big show and his schemes. He manages to keep the money skimming and still gets away, even though his plans don't exactly as expected. He might have not have won in traditional sense, but he's managed to avoid the worst consequences, at least for now. Um, how the tax collector subplot fits in. Inciting incident. And this might work because I suppose a subplot can fit anywhere into the main plot. When Zanzibar realizes he needs resources for his big show and considers the option of becoming tax collector as a backup plan. Okay. But Max offers Zanzibar a partnership that includes the tax collector position as part of the deal. Midpoint is when Zanzibar begins actively skimming the tax money and he sees the dangers of relying solely on the show's success. When Zanzibar fully understands Max's betrayal but continues his own plans for the show while making sure he has backup tax money, climax is when the moment of betrayal arrives. Zanzibar escapes the consequences. It allows you to keep more focused. The overall motivation will also keep giving him an extra layer of security, which serves his personal goal. Yes, actually, it works fairly well. I might have to take the subplot outline and define the plot points more clearly into actual like events or actions, but I will do that later on my own. Thanks. Touch on it specifically to make the plot feel more solid. If you wanted to brainstorm, okay, that's good. I actually like this. Okay. X agrees. Yes, does it Max comes in. And what's funny is the subplot kind of intersects the main plot. So the inciting incident for the subplot is Zanzibar coming up with this idea of becoming tax collector and then coming to Max and saying, you know, make a great tax collector if you needed it. Because if they don't want to pay their taxes, I can still find a way of extracting the taxes from them, you know, and act like he's just giving them extra ability or whatever, however you want to say it. I don't know what word I'm looking for. Uh, Max agrees. Um, Let me tax collector. Um, I could just leave that as the subplot. Anyways, this the good part is that the the good part is that this little subplot here, which is he wants to uh freeze. He decides he can skim some money off the top. Just in case things go south. And actually, I can actually make things go south here too. Put a note. Um, Max could eventually find out and find where Zanzibar has hidden the money and then takes it. And the reason I put that in is because I'm thinking of uh, what happens is first he's a bad guy. They're all bad guys, but he's a bad guy, and it wouldn't necessarily do to let him win. How do I say it? I don't mind that he's winning, that he's making some money here, even though he's the bad guy. What I mean is what happens is Zanzibar hides the money somewhere. Max figures out where it's at. He takes it. He lets him know he's betraying him to the audience. And little does Max and Max, but Max doesn't. Zanzibar hasn't given Max the money, the final money from the final show. So Max Zanzibar doesn't have any more money anymore. Right at the end here, and he barely escapes. And when he escapes, he did have the money off of his big show because he still has that. And so that's where you can do this little deal where he sort of gets out with his life, and yet um, he doesn't get away with all the money, basically. So his life and a little bit of the money is a lot better than no life and no money, basically, is the idea here. Anyways, this is good. And I maybe I should here tab. Maybe I should go ahead and copy this as the plot. Okay, maybe I should copy both of these, and I'll put this in for later. Let's see. Okay. Now what did I do? Subplot outline, main plot outline. Okay. Let's just Control V. Oh, I don't want it. I don't want it formatted. Paste. Where's the paste? Paste special, unformatted text. There we go. Okay, and I'm just gonna do this in sort of my own fashion where it's just I, and then this is PP1. This is midpoint. PP2. C, R. It looks better that way with it spelled out, but this is just kind of the format that I've been using. So main plot outline. Okay. Okay. Subplot outline. And then I'll probably change this. Climax. Resolution. Okay, so I still have to finesse the subplot a little bit and make it more concrete or whatever, concrete events. But hey, at least I finally locked down Zanzibar's plot outline. It's not that different than my original ideas, but it's a little bit stronger. It's a little more cohesive, and it more plays into the story, which is good, which is what I had intended. So yay progress. Okay, so I guess that should be about it for today. Um, Here, let's switch to there. Okay. Yeah. So actually, I want to thank you for listening and or watching, and I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to finish Zanzibar's plot outline, and then I'll decide whether or not to actually put it into the main plot outline, or whether I should do the other two characters next. I might should put when I finally finalize this deal, I might should put his deal into the plot outline that I got on GitHub, and then I can start by working on Red and Kurt Wolf. And Kurt Wolf, I'm gonna have to completely come up with almost a new story. I mean, it's not a new story. I already have the idea. He's kind of this slimy kind of he's kind of a suck up. He acts like a coward sometimes, even though he's not a coward no longer. He wants control of the wolf pack. He doesn't think that Rottweiler should get it. And I know Rottweiler's not very original, but it sounds mean enough. And so Kurt wants to get control of the werewolf army, and so what he does is he goes to Violet. I don't know if let's see. He sees the tension between Violet and Red, and so he figures he can go to Violet and make a deal with her to get control of the werewolf army. Now here, there's no weird betrayals or anything other than the fact that that Kurt's gonna try to pretend to be on her side, and then he's gonna find a way of disposing of her. That probably won't be very hard, but you know, we'll see. Maybe Red has she's Red and her grandmother have been seducing wolves for years, and she probably has a few tricks up her sleeves. So she probably knows how to hunt with bow and arrow and knows all kinds of tricks and stuff because she's been successful. So, anyways, it won't be so hard, but and Red's own story won't be that hard either. I'll use my original notes as a backbone, and then I'll kind of flesh it out and kind of fix it up a little bit. So yeah, thanks for watching, and here, let's do something here. Okay, there we go. I just wanted to put I wanted to put the OBS window kind of in front of me. Anyway, so yeah, I guess I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see if we can finish up Zanzibar, and we'll have Zanzibar locked in there, and then we'll get Red and Kurt going, and when we get them put into the plot outline should be mostly complete. And then what I have to do is I have to go and streamline it and make sure there's like one line per scene or whatever. I'll combine lines to scenes, so it won't be actually one line per scene because that's going to be 200 scenes, and that's too many scenes. Just not that a game or story can't have 200 scenes in it, but for what this is, it'll be too many scenes. I'm gonna try to keep it down as much as possible to one. Like I might end up reorganizing some of the lines in there to batch up, so that you'll have a bunch of stuff on one scene that way, and when it becomes a game. But yeah, so then I streamline it. I make sure it's as simple as possible. Nothing but events that happen, things that happen, and then when I do that, then I can start working on grouping lines, grouping events, to actually form the scenes before I actually start implementing the scenes. So look forward to that. And yeah, again, thanks for watching or listening, or either or, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.